Hello everyone. Today in this session, I'll try to explain regarding Git or version control system. So, guys, this video I gonna explain you like what is the Git, what is the version control system, why that Git is so much popular in IT industry, and all things I'll explain in this video, guys. Okay, so let's start this video. So before starting that video, let me tell you a brief introduction regarding what is Git. So basically Git is nothing but a distributed version control system where that developer like it actually helps developer to track their changes or track their code, and also it enable that reverse feature where that if anything got missed from that or anything got mismanaged from their end, they can reverse that thing. And also it enables that multi-people work, so like multiple people can work on that same project simultaneously with that same time. So that is kind of Git, and it is kind of a very efficient, secure, high flexible, and it also helps for collaborative development, also reduce the memory and all. So that is kind of the thing is Git. So it is kind of like a tree branch where that different kind of branches are there, like people have been work on that branch, and that branch will be merged in a like single origin or master. Okay, so before starting that Git more detailed way, let me tell you like what is the central version control system. So central version control system, it is kind of a central server where that all project file will be stored, and all developer they can push, pull, commit in that same centralized system. So like suppose imagine that you are in on library. So there in the library there is a single copy of book, and everyone is just open that book, they are writing something and they just dump on that library only. So it is kind of centralized version control system. So centralized version control system here like that if any problem will appear in future, on the time if suppose the server goes down, then no one can access and no one can save that changes and all. So that is that most disadvantage for centralized version control system. So our central repository will be there, and then people will be work on that same project, they will push and pull that code. So a best example is like subversion. So svn is like a subversion thing, that is kind of best example for centralized version control system. So before starting the distribution version control system, let me tell you regarding what is the repo. So repo or repository concept, it is kind of a very simple concept. It is kind of similar like in cloud storage, but it is not like in proper cloud storage. It is kind of like where it is kind of storage with the detail file, like that detail file have content like versions, detail file content like how many things got changes, who has changes, when it got changes. So all things have been stored there in a detail way. So that is called here as a repo. Now distributed version control system, so it is kind of a system where that every developer have that same kind of copy code in their own local setup as well as in their server. So if that my server gonna crash in future, or like if any problem appears in future, then we already have branch of so many copies, so we can restore that our server very easily. So distribution version control system here like everyone have their own copy of the code, and they can bring it, they can read, edit, delete or something, they have made some changes, and if these changes is good, then they gonna add these changes and they gonna share these changes to all others developer and like people. So best example is like our Git tool. So Git is like a best example for that. And another pro advantage is that you can work offline, and you can like if server goes down, server is not working, that doesn't matter, you just work on that, and then once like server goes up, then you can push that your changes to that server. So this is that main advantage for that your for that this distribution version control system. Nowadays nobody is using centralized version control system, everybody is using distributed version control system, and Git is like a thing that is comes under distributed version control system. Now repository, I have explained you guys, like repository is kinda like storage, where that all things will be stored, all project file will be stored. And there is two types of repository will be there. One is local repository, another is remote repository. The local in the sense of where the developer have a copy of their project, they can work on that repo, and they can store that all changes, all file on their local storage. So that is called a local repository. Another is remote repository, where that our centralized location will be there. There all changes will be came from different people. They gonna push that their changes to that remote origin or that centralized location. So that is comes under remote repository. And in the repository, so here we can track that all like here every data comes with that metadata. So through that metadata we can track, we can check the full history of the changes, full history of the our file and all. So that is called as a repository basically. Now why that we are using that Git? First thing is, it is a distributed version control system. So basically we are getting that advantage of the distributed version control system. Every user have their entire copy of that Git origin. They can reduce the dependencies of the single server. They can work on that offline mode and all. And that is collaboration. Multiple developers, multiple users can work in the same time with that same project without having any kind of conflict. It is a very fast tool because it is origin thing is in Linux. Now that Git is actually basically a Linux tool. So basically that's why it is a very fast, and it is a very faster than that our centralized version control system. Also it is a more secure because that every commit have that their own like cryptographically hashed. So like all data will be encrypted, and it is a proper thing, and every data have their own metadata. So we can track that who has done changes, when it got done changes. So that thing. So that's why every industry is using Git nowadays. Okay, now how that Git works basically. So basically Git's main concept is our repo, where that all files will be stored, and so people can see that history, that file history. And now another thing is like Git commit. Git commit is nothing but like it is a snapshot of our changes. Snapshot in the sense of, so here we are not storing that full file, here we are only storing the changes of the file. So that is called as a snapshot. Then we have branch of we have concept called branch, like a tree branch, like parallel version of that project. And we can create the branch from like we can create the branch, so that basically that code will become to that branch, and we can change it. And if that changes are on our favor, then we can merge that change to that our main branch. And that is like merging, so we can merge that our branch. And staging area in the sense of, it is a kind of a like temporary storage, where that we can commit that our prepared file. Suppose that we are working on that one project, and we are actually writing some code. Now we are moving to that different kind of different project, and then we have finished that project, and then we have came to that area, staging area, and then we can took that our old code and we start working on that. So this is that one thing that is the most important. So that is, and once it is done, then we can push that our code to that our online repo. So that is a thing. So basically till now in that Git is kind of like suppose that you are working a big project, where that you have different version, and everybody is working on that. So everybody will be like, it is a repository is kind of project folder, where that all file will be stored. And commit is kind of like you have finished some thing, and you called that some comment will be given for that your you're writing code or something like that. That is called commit. Branch is kind of thing is like where that you are parallelly working without even messing up the main thing. So that is kind of branch. So here you can experiment it, you can do some changes and all. Merging that thing is like, once everything got settled down and everything is fine, then you can merge with that your main thing. And push pull is the thing where that you can push that your code, and you can pull that latest code and all. So this is the concept. This how that Git works. Then we have branch of Git workflow. First thing is like clone. Suppose that previously we have some git repo on online or cloud, so we just need to clone that full repo, so we can create that our local storage area where that our all code will be fetched from that server to our local area. So we have one copy of that our whole repo. Then we just create a branch, and like suppose that I want to do something, so I will create a new branch, and then I will do some changes, I'll modify that file. Then we have to stash their changes, then we have to put that changes to the staging area, staging area. And then once it is done, then we just commit that changes, we just save the snapshot of that our changes, and then we just push that changes to that our like remote repo. Once it is done, then we just pull that our latest change. So this how that workflow works. So it is kind of cycle. Through that cycle that our workflow works. Now another concept is that branching and merging. Branching in the sense of like here each branch is kind of isolated environment. So if I create a one branch and like I have some code, pre-written code, I just did some changes, then I just move back to that my main branch, and again I have created a different branch, then all changes has been stored on that our branch itself. And then I can create the new branch, and I can do some again have done some changes that will be stored on that separate branch, and that two branch will be isolated each other. And if I want that first changes, I don't want the second changes, then I can again like merge that our first changes to that our main branch, so our first changes will come there, and our second changes we just not need to merge it, so we'll just keep it like and we can delete it, that our changes and all. So that's through that branch concept, like people are working their code, and people will send that code to that repo without affecting that main code base. Then we have merging concept. Merging in the sense of like one that branch is merged to another branch, so it is actually a helps to combine that work after a feature development or some bug fixing and all. So that's the thing, actually that is the main important thing of inside the git, like that is merging and branching. Now version control of the git thing is like, so we can track that our whole changes, like every commit is like a unique version of that code, and git helps that who has made some changes and when it made some changes. If that any process need to be undone or need to be reversed, then we can reverting that code to that earlier commit. So like we can fully control that our whole version or our whole file system. So and once it is done, then we can given that commit history, so through that commit history we can raise a checkpoint. So and checkpoint that we can add that message, so describe that our changes and all. So that is the most important thing, like through that way we can do that version control that of our code or or our file system. Now some collaboration in git. So team can be collaborate, different developer, they can work on the different part of the project by that help of branches. They can pull the request, they can and do like we'll do some code review. The same way like as an automation tester, like we also able to write that code, we can merge that our code to that our main automation like repo and all. So git actually helps to handle the conflict between the two developer. If suppose that sometimes what happen, like same code, like two developers are working on that same time, they have modify some changes while putting that that same file inside that cloud repo, it comes like a conflict. So git actually shows you like how to handle that conflict. So we just need to look that we can check that code side by side, and if that we like that one code, then we can take that code, and if we don't like it, then we can discontinue with that different code. So through that way we can like that's why git is using, it is actually helps to team collaboration. Now repository concept is git I have already explained, like what is a local repo and what is a remote repo. Need to be explained again, like local repo in the sense of like it is kind of like a repo where that our all code will be stored in that our local file. And remote repository in the sense of like it is a kind of centralized thing where that all file will be stored. Now here one concept is is coming, guys, that is a Git and GitHub. So GitHub is not a Git thing. GitHub is a repo. GitHub, GitLab, Azure Git, and all these things are actually a online repo or online cloud thing. And Git is a kind of technology. Git technology is actually basically involve version control, and GitHub and all this a kind of repo thing where that the developer can push their changes, and that file will be stored on inside that cloud. Now some benefits of using Git. So benefits in the sense of here complete project history will be available locally. So we can check that our project history till now, like how many people have worked on that project, how many people have done some changes. Then we can also do some collaboration across the teams, different teams, like a remote team is there, like different kind of teams are there. And it's a kind of very secure and reliable version control system. For rollback feature, we can roll back it, and it is a kind of widely adopted and widely supported by that many or multiple tools, guys. So through that way, lots of tools we can integrate in with that help of Git. Now some popular Git hosting platform, first is like GitHub. It is a more popular. So I'll show you guys in future like how to write some code and how to push that code to that GitHub. Then we have GitLab is also a very kind of like popular hosting platform. Then Bitbucket, and most of the industry they are using Azure repo. So Azure Git, they have some all like the hosting platform have their unique or like some advantages, some features. So that thing is a you guys can check out all those things to internet. There is a lot of differences are there. Now here I have written some Git commands. So first thing is Git init. So we can initialize that our repository. Then we have Git clone command. Through that way we can clone that our online repo. Then we can check the status. So Git status is there. If we try to add that file name, so Git add, then we can commit it. We can commit that our code. If we need to create the branch, then we can use like Git checkout branch name. So through that way we can create the branch. We can check the commit history. Then so for that Git log command is there. And for pushing that like our changes, so we have like Git push, and then origin branch name is there. And for pulling that way like from our online repo or cloud repo, so we have Git pull command. And Git checkout file name, that is a kind of we can discard that changes in our file. Git stash, so that means we can save that changes to temporarily. And Git stash apply, that means we can our stash that our change, so we can put that all thing into a temporary folder. So in future we can like apply that stash, and then we can rework on that. So these all are Git popular command. Now the conclusion is kind of, so Git is a powerful tool for version controlling system. It also provides that flexibility and security. So that's why Git is like widely acceptable in that all over that IT industry. So lots of people are using Git, or basically all 99% people are using Git. Many companies are using Git basically. And Git like most popular is like GitHub. So nowadays GitHub is the most popular thing, so you can put that all your code to that GitHub itself. So I think that this video is helpful for you guys. I try to explain that all thing as a layman point of view. If you guys have any kind of query, please comment down, and guys tell me like how like everything is fine or not, how to improve myself, and like my videos quality. And if like you guys have know something, then please subscribe my channel, help me to grow on YouTube. And thank you, bye bye.